the meeting to order at 9:30.
Yep. And roll call of, we're all here.
Board members,
Randy, Evan, Jen, Chuck.
board members and assessors office staff.
Okay, public comment. We'll open it.
Make a motion to open public comment. I'll
Second.
Okay,
all in favor?
Aye.
Aye.
to which I say.
Good morning,
Good
Stephanie
morning.
Duclos,
Yep.
166
Stephanie.
Chapman.
How you doing there?
Oh,
Okay.
okay. I mean,
Go ahead.
well, it's what my life's going on right now is irrelevant.
Well, I'm sorry to hear
I'm
it.
just- Yeah, I just witnessed a really bad accident the other day, so it was
Oh.
literally right in front of me, but that's in a different conversation. I did appreciate all the comments that you guys contributed to the growth meeting. And wanted to just say that there's a lot of back to the tip line. There's a lot of developments that are happening, the conversions of spaces that used to be maybe garages or becoming apartments. And once people are driving around and scoping that out, I'm sure we'll be able to capture a little bit more. Also wanted to know about the progress of the split tax rate, residential exemptions, and going to listen a little bit more into what you guys are talking about today. So looking forward to it. Thanks.
Okay. Okay. Public comment, no discussion or comments will be entertained unless requested upon by the chairperson of the board. Speaking time is 3 minutes for each person. Member of public must state their name and address. And this is where we're gonna go through our business and then close it so we can deal with some internal stuff, executive committee or executive session stuff, and then we'll reopen it. And at the end of the proceedings, you'll have a chance to ask questions. Okay? So ATB case. Resident with an ATB case wanted to discuss things, so we'll be calling executive session. That's just a warning, Steph. What excise weeks, what do we have?
Jimmy, you?
Pardon?
Are you Jimmy? Is that someone else?
No,
That's Ryan.
Ryan.
Oh, of course it is. Are we signing these?
Sorry.
Chuck got a souvenir.
Oh, heck yeah. I've been displaying this a lot. It was a week of my life.
That's right. You can't get it back.
Can't get it back. I got the pen.
Yeah. Over.
And the friends along the way.
That's right. Other,
Okay. Is that it?
For motor excise, yes.
Yeah. No more excise.
No.
Okay, great.
Not currently.
Okay, assessor's webpage updates, proposed revisions.
Oh,
Hold that and fill in unless Matt can join us.
Okay.
is Matt joining us for this meeting?
No, but is there anything to discuss without Matt here?
Well, there were some updates to the page that you suggested, some quick links that were put in, which I approved of. And yeah, I like that, especially the GIS. You should just, you shouldn't have to
Right at the top.
do too many clicks to get there.
Oh, you weren't here for the last meeting? We talked about that stuff with Matt? I think you weren't.
Right, I think I had to,
Oh, that's right. You had to leave. Yeah, we talked about that with Matt, and we gave him some other action items, and he has more stuff. But
Yeah,
maybe,
he actually came down and reviewed with Devin and I too, some of the.
oh, cool.
Got a lot of the content on there as far as forms and that type of thing, frequently asked questions too, I believe.
Yep.
And,
Yes.
I can't remember the status, or he has other things that you are sort of in progress that haven't come to fruition yet, but stuff that he's working on.
Yeah, and Jim, you asked for him to review those with us before he posted them.
Yeah.
So hopefully he'll be able to join us today and review those things with us.
Okay. Ways and Means, split tax, residential exemption, follow-up discussion.
And Stephanie mentioned it. So she, as far as our recommendations, basically is what she was asking for is what are they going to be? And we've had the discussion with Ways and Means regarding the split tax rate. And I think our intent is to, as far as having our recommendation, the recommendation will be for a single tax rate. And also to not adopt that residential exemption that we provided so much information on. And really could see or we feel that it's not appropriate for Greenfield. Myself.
Yep.
Specifically, we're worried that the residential exemption would lead to potential for increased rents.
Yeah, exactly. Be counter to the purpose for which we were.
Right, be counter for the purpose, right? And as far as the split tax, we're concerned that any potential benefit to residential taxpayers would be minimal for a very large hit to commercial property owners, which again might cascade into increased rents for businesses.
And that was like a 3-to-1 difference, wasn't it?
One, yeah.
So basically, yeah, you lower my residential bill by $10 and it increases the commercial bill by $30.
So we shared our recommendations and the economic reasoning behind them, as well as the objective numbers that we had for those things with Ways and Means. And my understanding from the last meeting, and this is all public and available, the recording is available online from the Ways and Means committee meeting. They didn't seem to have any more questions about those things because we gave them 2 meetings with them, and they seemed that they had enough information. Now, obviously, they'll vote however they're going to vote, and they'll make whatever recommendation to the full council that they will. But it seems like they're done with us.
Right. And I think that one of the other things that is in my mind is now that we're through with Ways and Means and into the classification process is that we're going to start making our presentation. And we can include a couple of the slides from the presentation to Ways and Means just for the whole council to give them a quick overview of what we did and then let them rely on the other people in Ways and Means to communicate out to the other counselors.
Can watch the process at work.
Yes.
Watching sausages being made.
Exactly.
Okay, so that takes care of new business. Old business, calendar, timeline, where are we?
We're in October now. I'm gonna reach over you, John, sorry. So we've got
September is.
September 7th, it's October 1st. I can go through September again one more time. There's not many items on it. So let's review September. The 15th, CP1 Community Preservation Forum. The report was due. It was submitted by our previous accountant. That's all set. The 15th is also the interim year adjustment for interim year adjustment communities. That's the recommended date to submit the LA3, the 15th of September. And then also the sales report to submit the LA15 with the LA3.
And that's what we're doing right now is going through that information. I have a meeting with Harold this afternoon to further crunch the numbers and determine you know, our strategy for what we're going to do with our values and our presentation of our information to the Department of Revenue. David is actually here today. He's doing some follow-up stuff with, I think, the new growth spreadsheet. And he might be preparing some of the LA 15 and LA 3. Well, the LA 3, actually, you know, the LA 3, the way it is, I think should be fine. And he might be getting ready to get that information submitted, or that's something that we can do. Or I'll be talking to Harold about it anyway at this meeting. And yeah, my goal was to, by the 15th of October, be able to submit to the Department of Revenue. And so we're working toward that goal.
And did I understand that you've been able to devote more time to the LI3 and make it even more fair and better than in past years?
And that's what I've been trying to do, and that's a good way to put it. Or that's my mindset and what I was doing. Yeah, because I've had that opportunity to review more of the sales than I did in last year,
And
which being shorthanded.
right, we can thank Devin for that.
Yeah.
Seriously.
Yes.
Yeah, blame it on her.
Thank you, blame.
Well, it's really appreciated. So it seems like you're much more confident about the LA3 this year.
Yeah, definitely. And I want to, because we've been moving our values so much in the last couple of years, I want to make sure that I'm on top of everything as well as I can be. And I didn't feel as though I had our information as well presented as it could have been last year. And it might have led to us raising values maybe a little bit more than we possibly needed to. But, you know, either way. And so that's what I'm trying to do, is also be cautious about having to raise values. Again, I don't want to have to go another 10% like I did last year. I think 27% in the last 2 years is a lot. And I think everybody needs a little break, frankly. But of course, you know, the market is still there, and things are still selling for more than we have them listed for in many cases. And we're still making adjustments to keep up. But I'm doing my best to go over everything with a fine tooth comb and make sure that it's as accurate as possible. So it's a true reflection of the market. What is left over, the adjustments that we have to make will just be a true reflection of the market versus where we have our standards set in the database.
And again, Devin, thank you for freeing up a little bit of Randy's time so he can do that.
Every little bit,
Yeah, really.
do what we can.
So you'll have a new sales data load?
Soon, yes. And I did see that you've been communicating with Harold, and I'm sure that
And you.
part of our discussion. Yeah, I mean, that'll be part of our discussion this afternoon
What time is the meeting?
at like 1:30.
Want me?
I suppose that I should be able to share the Zoom link with you. You know, I don't know actually. If we're both there, then it would have to be a posted meeting.
No, not if you're functioning in your capacity as office help.
I am.
We can always provide you with
Yeah.
office help without, you know, with.
Yeah, okay, so then that's.
Yeah, I'll just, I mean, the point is that it's provided, it's just information. And we're not making any decisions on it other than, you know, maybe revisiting the tables.
Right.
Yeah, well, you could operate a
That's-
spreadsheet for Randy. It's good office help. You can operate a spreadsheet for him.
Yeah.
You can help keep some papers together for him.
Thank
Maybe
you.
do some
Well, it might be a little
calculations.
soon, but you know, I can include you in,
Okay, yeah, I just send it to me when.
Yeah, okay.
Okay, I forgot to review and approve previous minutes. Yeah.
that's right.
I move we approve the previous minutes.
Okay, I'll second.
Okay, all in favor?
Okay,
Aye.
here we
Aye.
go. Great. Sorry for the disruption. Okay, so let's see.
That was in the middle of September, and that's the recommended date to submit the LA3. So that's what we were talking about.
Yes.
And then we will, and this is, so we're still in September right now. So did we need that? Are you still working on that?
I'm still working on that.
Okay.
It's basically ready to be submitted, but
Okay.
it hasn't actually happened.
Okay. Begin certification process with Bureau of Local Assessment, obtain preliminary certification of values by the Bureau of Local Assessment. That's everything for September that we've got currently. Now we're in October. The 15th of October is the interim year adjustment communities. DLS recommended date to submit LA 13. For new growth, submit LA 4 with LA 13.
And so all of this, the last few items in September and what she's talking about is this classification process. So my goal was to, by the 15th, have all of my work done on the LA3, which I did. And, now the rest of it are starting to work the numbers and getting ready to submit, and including the submission of the LA3 and LA15. It's all part of this process. And so I'm considering that we're on time, as long as by the 15th, we're able to have our number crunching and adjustments to the tables done, and we'll be able to submit to the division, to DLR at that time. Or that's the goal anyway, is to be ready. And so I think we're in good shape because Harold and I are talking about the numbers right now. I don't think that we're going to have multiple revisions of the numbers after adjustments like we did. In some cases, you're looking at your numbers and you make adjustments, and then you run them again and make more adjustments and run them again, and you can end up doing that 20 times. And, last year, I think it was about 12 to 14 times that we did it. And I'm hoping it's going to be a lot less this year because we're in better shape and things are looking more uniform. So.
Okay. By the 31st of October, we want to begin work on the recap.
Recap, yeah. And so the recap is the larger numbers with accounting and the rest of the finance department. Where our budget is going to be. We're putting in our overlay number. We're populating all of the other expenditures or the other revenue sources and putting it all together to see what our total budget is going to be.
Can I assume that Stella is aware of our timing for those things?
Yeah, I'm sure that I have communicated that, and for a large part, I know that she's just overwhelmed with trying to take over the collector's office. So,
nevertheless, we will
Yeah.
need her and the other functions to do their part.
right, yeah, and so that comes also with Catherine and the accountant. So I have started talking to her over the last week or so. We've had the opportunity to just start talking about how we'll be interacting and different things, and so that's going to be part of it. And
Catherine?
yeah, Catherine, she was in HR before and now has moved over to fulfill the accountant role.
Okay.
And it's in training.
Okay.
Still in October, conduct public disclosure period for triennial certification of communities only. Does that apply to us?
That does not, because we're not, and so that it says triennial, but it's no longer a triennial process because it's every 5 years.
Okay. Can we strike that?
You could put it, you just strike triennial and put 5 years. And so this is a very ambitious calendar where they're right on top of things and they're getting done in a quick and efficient manner.
Yeah. Okay.
And so, yeah, it would be good. And even actually when we were at the What's New in Municipal Law seminar last week, they were encouraging us, Sean Cronin, the Commissioner of Revenue of the state of Massachusetts, was encouraging us to submit as soon as possible.
Mhm.
And, that he knows that a lot of communities have their regular process and they're used to sticking to those timelines. But it's tough for them because they burn a lot of hours making sure all the communities get certified. There's 351 and they also, not all of them, but too many wait until the last second to get it done. And then there's a lot of pressure on them.
Mm.
And so that's why we have our goals in place of the 15th of September and October. And I think we're in pretty good shape.
Finalize valuations after informal appeal period.
And yeah, so what they're talking about there, that which we don't have to do, is a public disclosure. So when you're in your reval year, you do a public disclosure to show the changes that you're making. Actually, we don't do it here, but it's sort of a process that you get your opportunity to see the adjustment to your value. And in a reval year, that's in the past, that's when you're making your larger adjustments to value and why you had the public disclosure process. So we have been making big adjustments in our interim years.
Yeah.
And maybe we should consider, or we are, I guess, to a certain extent, trying to publicize the information and where our values are going, showing the previous values, the comparison to the previous. And so this is something where you have to do this public disclosure. It's for like a 10-day period. And you have to have it publicized on your website. It's at the library. It's available at the town hall.
It's great that we're already being transparent like
Yeah,
that. We should just continue to be transparent, and we should continue to do it every year since it's impacting people every year.
Yeah, so it's not as official a process as it is in the reval year, but we're still doing our best to be transparent, yes.
All right, let me just get this, obtain final value certification in October, redundant system backup to CD.
Yeah,
Not sure what.
yeah, that's just doing a backup to your system so that you have the information archived.
Okay. Run value finalization processes, and then prepare and submit new tax revenue growth forms, which we just talked about, LA4, LA10, LA13,
And
LA13.
that's all part of the classification process, which we're currently in. And so, yeah, that's October, but it's not October 1st. And so we're right on schedule, and that's the goal, those are all the things that we'll be doing during the classification process to bring it home.
And obtain new growth certification.
Yeah,
It's the last one.
So all of our approval, yes, the approvals prior to November when the council, when we can present to the council. And that's my goal, to get that. Usually it's the second week in November that they have the council meeting and vote on the tax rate or want to. In other towns, that's where they come and told me that that's when they're going to have the vote. And that's not how it works. I had to inform them. I did my best to adhere to what they wanted, but it just, depended on when my numbers were ready and when everything is done. And so that's why we want to, prior to that, give them the opportunity if they wanted to, if everything goes great, we could, in the last week of October, they could have the classification hearing because we already have our approval and everything is submitted and we have our blessing from the Department of Revenue and we're able to proceed. But again, it's not just ours, and that's why we're talking about the recap. It's everyone in town or everyone in the finance department bringing home all of the final numbers, everything to get to the point where the council's able to sign off on the new tax rate.
Let's do our RRG and staffing, and then we'll go into executive section. So, okay, RRG activities.
And they're, continuing on, they're doing the data entry on on all of the cyclical reviews. David is doing follow-up on a couple of inspections and then helping to prepare these other documents, the new growth information. And I think I saw him working on the LA3 this morning, getting these things ready to submit or preparing the PDFs and whatever, attachments are going to be going with it. And so, what else as far as RG, I have the meeting with Harold today to continue on with the whole process and get any adjustments to the value identified and then finalized. So we're working through the process. And, there are other things going on as far as Assessors operations. We still have our new person, John, who has our staffing. And I mentioned the West New England Municipal Law meeting where I was introduced to the head of the the Division of Local Services by John, to Deb Wagner. And he was part of this fellowship program that they ran for the year. And she was actually one of the trainers and was 160 hours of training with her and some of these other people that are higher up. So I'm rubbing elbows with the higher ups because they know Jonathan. And
That can't be bad.
yeah, even Sean Cronin, I was introduced to Sean Cronin because he was talking to Deb Wagner again. And then, we're sitting there and, I had my musician's tie on, started, treating me like one of the guys. Oh, what do you play, the guitar or something? I was like, well, I do. And
those informal relationships are really important.
Yeah.
Especially when we're in this time of submitting these things and iterating with DOR.
Yeah, it's good to have them know who you are. And so, yeah, it was also good exposure for Jonathan to see and understand these meetings and know that it's not just us in this office, but there's a whole group of people doing this in the state, and we're all doing it. Have the same rules and regulations to go by, and we're all doing.
It's great to hear all this thing, Jonathan, about your background, so that we can appropriately raise our expectations. So that we fully expect, I mean, Devin, you've obviously been demonstrating this for months and months, but we fully expect you guys to be supporting Randy so that we can continue to improve our processes and everything we do, especially to support the council, to support the public when they're asking us about these revals, and really to support the mayor as we try and optimize the new growth process. We need you. We need both of you. And I know that sometimes the clerical work seems just like clerical work, but every bit of it's important, because if we get anything wrong, it wastes a lot of time with the public. And every bit of little work that gets done, that just frees up you guys to do more inspections, to study the changes in municipal law, to iterate on those forms. We need it all. Everything you do is important. And especially, and Randy, correct me if I'm wrong, we do have a vision for the department of using less consultants and doing more work in-house to improve the quality of our work. And in order to do that, you guys are, I mean, you're all going to have to do a lot. And so it's wonderful, Randy, and that you've been able to assemble such a good staff. And yeah, we're going to expect a lot.
Lucky to get good people. And yeah, that's our goal, is to move away from the outside services so that we can do things more efficiently. So yeah, so far so good. And we're continuing to work toward that. And that will also free up more funds in our budget if we're less reliant on the outside sources too. So
Well, we just want to use outside sources appropriately.
yeah,
I mean, it doesn't hurt to have a little consulting from Harold as a noted regional expert.
Mhm.
But especially the field work, it'd be really nice to get as much of that in-house as possible.
And all the other processes too, because there's other things that weren't receiving the attention that they needed just in the office. And we need to make sure that that stuff gets brought up to speed. And so we're working toward that as well.
And once we get through this classification, which is our biggest time of year, so we can look forward to, you're going to be able to do more focused training with Devin to be able to build up our bench there.
Yep, absolutely. So other things that are going on in the office is, the HERO Act. And so that's another thing that I think that we're going to be recommending to the council to adopt that.
Amongst many other, I mean, after the discussion at Ways and Means, it's not clear that they're going to improve all of the exemptions as much as could be possible. But we at least can present them all of their options, and then they can appropriately balance the needs of the different parts of the population of town. But I think the HERO Act sounds like there's a lot of public support for that one in particular. I'd like to see political support for increases in availability and amounts of all of the exemptions as much as we can. It is a priority of the administration and of us, I think, as elected officials, to support our seniors in particular, as well as our veterans and folks with disabilities, just to the maximum we can in this difficult economic environment.
And so that's one of the things that we did with the HEROES Act. One of the things that went into effect right away was a motor vehicle exemption for 100% disabled veterans. And so we did a mailing. We had many identified that were homeowners, but we also worked with the Veteran Services to get ones, some of the veterans that didn't own a home that were still 100% disabled. And so we sent a letter out to all of them, and we're getting responses now back because they can exempt one vehicle from motor vehicle excise.
That's very
Something
terrific.
else that we did just recently, and the mailing is out, and we're starting to get the responses back in. So we're already responding to that.
Really appreciate you prioritizing that.
And do we have a record of all the people that qualified for each of the exemptions? We do have.
Yes.
Yeah, every year we have a master list, what I refer to as a master list.
Okay. All right. Good. And by the way, did you, I sent you the exemption piece that we're gonna be using as a handout. You have a.
I did see it, yeah, but the numbers haven't been updated yet.
Okay, maybe, I don't know, maybe that's.
Yeah, well, we can get that done.
Okay, so I think we ought to go into executive session.
So at first, I want to make a motion to close public comment.
I second.
Yeah,
All in favor?
yeah.
Aye.
So we probably
Oh, I
should.
just have one question.
I'm sorry,
I
Steph,
just had
what?
one question.
Sure.
I just had one question before you close it. You hear me okay?
Yeah, I mean, and we're gonna reopen it.
Yeah, we're
Later.
going to open prior to the end of the meeting.
Yep.
But I just thought before we
okay.
went into executive session that we would do our proper,
We're just going into executive session now to support some of the business we have today. But then we're gonna go back into the public meeting afterward.
Yeah, and we
Okay,
can,
great.
yeah, we can, I can send you a text to let you know when we're done with our executive session business.
we're going to have to create another room.
We can just end and then restart the recording,
Yeah. let's
Yeah.
do that.
Yeah.
right? Did we?
All right, Steph, and Whitney, Ryan,
Yeah.
see you guys in probably half an hour, if not sooner.
Sounds-
Okay,
Thank you.
okay, thank you. Okay, so we are now returning to our public meeting. And public comment, do we need to reopen that?
Did we finish everything on the agenda?
No, we stopped at
Basically,
four or five.
yeah, staffing, we were talking about staffing. We have the,
In the budget,
yeah.
I don't think we need an update on that because we have additional staffing.
Okay, so by.
That's the process of hiring. We can, I guess we can take that off
Can I
now that
take it
we.
off?
The hire.
Yeah, right.
Yeah.
So that's budget. I'm getting rid of? Okay.
Hi, Seth, what's up?
Probably the budget too, because it has to do with the same thing.
Oh,
Oh,
staffing and budget.
Sorry.
My only question was if there was a pathway, for, people who weren't seniors to maybe like adopt a senior or adopt a family member or something in order to work off their tax liabilities.
Yes.
Maybe we did some volunteer work and then, just for instance, my mother's already working on hers, but
Yes.
let's say my mother wasn't.
Yes.
And
The answer is yes.
yes to what?
Yes, a person who is not the senior can do the volunteer work and it gives credit to the senior.
Oh,
That
so
is a
you
thing.
Go in and it's the same application process? So say if I wanted to work, somebody's senior, bill or some, just 10 hours a week or whatever it is, just to come and volunteer to work off somebody's tax liabilities, family member or not, that would be, what's the process? Do I go in and?
I don't know. I assume it's the same. I assume it's the same process. The senior would fill out the form and then you'd have to go interview with Hope. But I remember hearing in well, I knew it before, but again, in the 200 class that that is a thing that another person, Randy, do you know differently?
What?
About for the senior work off, that instead of the senior themselves, someone else can do it for them.
I just want to be clear. In effect, you're saying that the senior gets a tax,
Yeah.
a tax credit due to the work of another person.
Yes. Yeah, I specifically remember hearing about that.
Okay, So let us check on that, but I think, what the idea of adopt a senior is kind of an intriguing one. I'm not sure that's something that is in the assessor's purview, but it certainly is an interesting thing for us to think about. And if you can do it, we do it.
Yeah, I've heard about, I mean, it's
Okay.
a real thing. It's not, it's an existing thing.
Yeah. Do you want to get more resolution on that?
Yeah, I'm gonna look. The only thing I'm not sure of is, I don't know if Greenfield has to adopt a special whatever. I didn't think so. I thought it was just part of it, but I will try and find on the internet where that's written.
Yeah, but thanks for
And
that.
also with the do we, work that, that
We get reimbursed for a lot of the statutory stuff,
Not for senior tax work off.
but not for work offs. No.
okay.
For excise?
For the excise, yes.
Yes.
Those are my questions. I was just came to me at the end of what you guys were discussing last time, and I'm like, well, I could probably work, volunteer to somebody else.
Well,
It's
Stephanie,
money off their taxes.
one thing to be aware of though, is there are many more applicants than there are positions. So
It's a match process and sometimes it's difficult to match.
You could use some people, going, just maybe we whack in some areas, or, I'm just trying to think out of the box of how can you,
No.
such as, yeah, but the sidewalk would be
Sure.
on Main Street, but,
Oh,
we can also incentivize you working on maybe your mom and your dad.
I think I found it.
Yeah. Okay.
In South Hadley, they say that you can have a proxy.
Well, so we'll look into that because I mean, thanks for raising it. We'll take a look at it and figure out what the process is. And is it okay? We can get back to it?
Sure.
Yeah.
I just found it already that Northampton says you can't, South Hadley says you can. So I wonder if there's something that needs to be adopted
Yeah.
by the town.
So let us take a look so that we can move on because we're running out of time.
Yes, absolutely. No, I just was thinking kind of, like, I can probably do something in the assessment office, but,
Oh, I'm sorry. Hey, Stephanie, is the person in question unable to work?
I mean,
Because both of these,
Why don't we take that offline?
I'm just saying, both of these proxies say you can only do it if the senior cannot work.
yes, not just seniors out there
Yeah,
that can't actually.
yeah. But right now the program is highly oversubscribed, so this would be a next year thing.
Okay.
But
Fantastic.
great, appreciate you thinking about this. And we'll see you at the next meeting, if not sooner.
Yes, absolutely.
Okay, great.
Thanks.
Okay, see you. Bye.
Bye-bye.
Yeah, I knew I'd heard about that.
All right. So we are still in session. Okay, board help with administration. I don't know that we need to keep including that.
I can strike it.
Yeah.
All right.
Unless there's something we want
Something
to talk
special we want to
about.
report.
Yeah.
Yeah.
And I'm not sure whether that automated spreadsheet that we've been messing
Yeah,
with.
that's kind of behind the scenes.
Yeah, I think so. Valuation capture, new growth, any new,
Kind of meeting.
No, we had our meeting. Basically, long-term goal and the same as the goals of our department is just be more efficient and capture, as much or make sure that we're able to get out on all inspections and also troubleshoot some of the previous things that might be out there that need a look.
But specifically, and Devin, you took minutes from that meeting, did you not?
The new growth meeting?
Yeah.
Haven't sent them around yet.
Okay, is there any highlights that you would like to report? I mean, I can remember a couple of things that I saw.
Highlights from the new growth meeting?
Yeah.
Did you not attend?
Oh, I was there.
Yeah. Okay.
Yeah, I just want to give you the opportunity before I just say what I.
Oh, no, go for it. Yeah.
Well, there was a significant discussion about permitting.
Mhm.
Because there was a lot of push to say that there are aspects of the permitting process that interact with new growth. There was certainly a lot of talk about how in the assessing office, right, that's where the new growth gets booked. But there was a lot of discussion about the permitting process and how that can affect what happens downstream. There were discussions about when permits expire, discussions about permits not being for the right dollar values, perverse incentive, like we talked about. And then there was discussion about ongoing work in the assessor's office that that we haven't had a chance to get to yet. For example, you've been following up on almost every permit, but not every permit yet. There's the tip line where we haven't been able to get to all of them yet, although David got to many of them. So there's some discussion about that. But the main thing that I wanted to bring in is there was quite a lot of discussion about permitting, discussion about the difference between the city zoning code and the Massachusetts State Building Code, how those things are not the same. That leads to permitting questions and issues. Yeah, so the new growth meeting there was a lot of focus on the permitting process as well as the assessing process. And there was additionally some discussion with planning and economic development about new developments coming.
Mhm.
And I think there was even a mention about both the cluster as well as the community land trust issues.
And ADUs.
Oh, yes,
Yeah.
much discussion about ADU.
But where are we in terms of how much new growth we estimate we're gonna capture? Do we have no estimate?
No, we're still waiting. A big part of it is hearing back
From
from
our
personal property. Yeah, and we're still waiting. I'm gonna shoot an email to Chris again and ask him,
Okay,
because we're trying at this point to forecast or
Yep.
be able to submit. So we need something better than, okay, we're doing the data entry.
yeah, and that one test case that we've talked about, still hasn't heard anything from RRC.
Oh, yeah, okay.
Okay.
Yep.
Okay, tip line. Any additions? Are there anything?
I haven't gotten any
noteworthy?
additions since our last meeting.
Okay.
It has not yet been publicized. And I would like to see when we get a chance, if we can find a way to have it not just a file that I have in my Google Drive, but that it's somehow kept as a public document. And along those lines, we did talk about for public, making it known that it's publicization.
Yeah.
Thank you. And we talked about people emailing it to the assessor mailbox. It's really important that if we institute that and we publicize it, that as soon as we get those emails, they be put into the tip line without attribution, and then that email has to be deleted. Because we don't want that email to be accessible to a public records request, because it's supposed to be anonymous. The better way of doing that would be if instead of an email, if Matt could make us a form fill on the page, so someone could just fill in the form and hit go, and it was not attributed to anyone. It's very important to the tip process that the tipper remains anonymous, like a whistleblower.
I think a form is the only way to go because you do not want to delete emails.
Yep. And the assessor's mailbox is just a forwarding service. So it would
That would go to all of us.
And then it's public information.
Yeah, all right, so we're gonna have to do
So
a
it's
form then.
form.
The only other way is a voice call. That's how buildings and inspections, it's a voice call. So someone calls, Mark takes the call, and Mark will record the tip.
Okay. All right. council relations, expanding exemption, qualifications.
We just talked about
We
that,
talked
right?
about it.
So, but we don't yet have an appointment to discuss that more formally. We mentioned that in the Ways and Means, but we don't have an appointment. What's the timing? If we wanted them to have the opportunity to make those changes,
Who they?
the city council,
Okay.
what is the timing? I guess it would have to be by fiscal year, is that right?
Prior to the fiscal year, exactly, exact timing, I'm not sure if there's any guidance.
Well, could we just back into it? So in order for us to be able to offer the updated exemptions for a given fiscal year, when would we need city council to have had to have voted on it? Like a month or two before?
Yeah, that's what I'm not sure on, so I can get that information, let you know. I'm not sure on some of the recent handouts or information that they've given us, they're covering it, but.
Because then we'd have to back up another 2 months for Ways and Means Committee. Right, so that's for the Ways and Means before they take it to council. So let's say, for example, exemption forms go out like in September, right? For like now. July, okay, July.
Speaking of fiscal year.
Right, so city council would have to agree on some new thing by, let's say, May.
Oh, right, yeah, right, and so prior
Right.
to the end of the fiscal year.
So May, and then Ways and Means would have had to agree to it by March.
Right, yeah, okay, prior to that.
Which means we would have to present it to Ways and Means by probably January.
Mhm.
So classification will be done in November, so that we won't be under the gun so badly. So maybe we can get our story together over the holidays, so we can present it to Ways and Means right after the holiday. So if maybe we could get on their agenda to talk to them about individual exemptions right at the beginning of the year. So that we can hope to have all that, if they do make any changes, including the HERO Act, that we get all that in place before the next fiscal year.
These are all the local options you're talking about.
Right, only local options. Yeah, and we're not even asking them for anything that requires a town vote for a lot of reasons, including extra costs for the town vote. So only local options that are council approval only.
Great. Okay. The Age Disability Fund Disbursement Committee. I think it's been formed, but there's no,
Yeah, that's not even really, we can take that off our agenda. Because we're just waiting on that committee to be formed and you to be a part of it.
and educational outreach, just so you know, the GCC sessions had been set in terms of days. I saw the GCC announcement, which made them both Zooms and both from 6:30 to 8. And I was under the impression, and I wrote to Judy Raper about this, that one of the sessions would be in person and would be in the afternoon. So still negotiating about that, but there isn't any question we're going to have 2 GCC sessions. The only question is what's the content, and I'm working on that. And then we have an assessors forum coming up on the 8th, or I think that's it. Yeah,
Can we walk through these in particular? So the forum is this coming Monday, the 7th
yes,
at 6 at John's On.
that's correct.
And then the workshop,
And it's in person.
And it's
we
in
won't
person.
we won't have a Zoom hook.
okay? And then the workshop sessions are Wednesday, October 9th,
Right,
and
the 23rd.
then again, Wednesday,
I think.
October 23rd, and that's
Right.
6:30 to 8.
Yeah.
And as far as attendance, I understand that you and I are going to be there for all 3 of those things.
I'd like that simply because we both live in town
Yeah.
and 2 people minimum, one to present, one talks, one takes notes. That's basically the issue. And Randy, we don't want to cut you out of the action, but we also want to be mindful of your.
I appreciate that. I'm planning on attending.
Okay, that's great. So I think that does it for the educational outreach, the senior center and library meetings. You can take that off because we've
Just
got,
kind of ongoing, right?
yep, they're ongoing.
Sure.
And I am donating a big sign that we're gonna put in the front of the library saying upstairs.
I will say that I again had no signups for my session this past Tuesday, last week. I don't know why that is. It's in the senior.
It's full time of year.
It could be that.
Again soon.
Or it could be that maybe some of the people who would have wanted to talk to me were put off by some of my policy things that have been in the paper,
Yeah, well,
but nothing I can do about that.
no.
But maybe you'll get some business.
Or the business. Okay, I think that's it. Next meeting dates, we're all set for those?
15th.
Yep,
29th.
okay. And
We haven't,
November 26th, that looks like that's right
Is that
around
Thanksgiving or something?
yeah.
Yeah, when we have a conflict, I think, because retirement board is meeting at the same time
Yeah.
for part of what we would normally take as our time. I think it starts at 10:30.
yeah, well, yeah, I think that
Their meeting starts at
we're holding
10:30.
that place currently, but they
Yeah.
approached us asking if we're going to be able to adjust our.
So we're
meetings so we
hoping
can do
that we'll be able to adjust our meeting schedule to accommodate them and
Okay.
not have a meeting that week because we have gotten past classification and we're at a low.
Yeah,
Assessing.
yes.
Or, okay, we don't have to have that meeting, but what about having it in a different, not this conference room, but
A different location.
Aaron's
Yeah.
or,
Well, let's see how things are going.
okay,
We'll make that decision. We'll, if
Right.
we're still gonna have a meeting, then we will figure out an alternate location.
great. And
We haven't set, sorry to interrupt, we haven't set another new growth meeting at this time.
don't think so.
So,
So maybe, are we gonna look to Ginny or to Aaron
Yeah, let's look for some additional input.
Yeah.
to see
Yeah.
how they want to drive that?
yeah,
I think you're talking 3 months
okay.
3 months?
I think,
Yeah.
for some reason, yeah.
all right.
What did you remember, Deb?
I just remember every 2
2
months
months?
for an hour and a
Yeah,
half, I
think we
thought,
need a discussion
That
about,
could be right.
so pushing it to 3.
okay,
Well, with classification,
So it'd be, December before we have the next
yeah, we wouldn't want to have it in November anyway, the classification.
classification, exactly.
So,
Okay,
and yeah, in December, make sure we don't interfere with people's holiday schedules, so maybe
Yeah.
early in December.
okay.
yeah, December 24th is definitely a no.
Yeah.
All right. We do have exemptions.
Yeah, so why don't
Great.
we close public
Public
comment
meeting.
and the
All right,
public.
I'll make a motion to close public comments.
Second,
Okay.
Favor, aye.
aye.
Go.
Yeah, we're still,
And motion to go into executive session so we can sign.
Second,
Okay,
okay.
it's great.
all in favor?
Aye.
Aye.
Okay, and